The inevitable happened, the Crimean bridge was finally blown up. The occupant group in Kherson is having serious supply problems. Bravo to the special services, partisans, underground fighters and even traitors from the FSB of Russia, never mind who from the enemy camp helped carry out this undermining. I'd like to point out that this is an assumption. But such a successful action, especially after the undermining of the Nord Stream, is guaranteed to cause an attempted response from an outsider in this war. In this regard, it is worth clarifying President Biden's statement that the risk of using nuclear weapons is as high today as it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. First of all, we must distinguish between factual and political statements. The factual is the actual readiness of the opposing sides to use nuclear weapons. And it is based on intelligence, technical, satellites and aviation, and human intelligence. The political statement is an emotional message intended to shape public opinion. And it is based on the personal evaluation of the speaker. In fact, the threat of nuclear weapons has not grown any more recently, as intelligence does not record any real preparations for an attack, neither orders to increase alert, nor removal of warheads from storage. Turning back to history, I note that during the Cuban Missile Crisis the nuclear forces of the USSR and the United States were brought to the penultimate level of readiness, above which only the unwinding of control system gyroscopes and entry of codes for combat use. There is no such thing today. And in the political sense, yes, the risk is very high, because we are dealing with an elderly dictator obsessed with obsessions. And the more evident is the prospect of Russia's defeat in the aggressive war unleashed by Russia, the more success of the AFU on the battlefield, the more actively the hand of the Kremlin leader reaches for the red button. But the paradox is that if we theoretically imagine the cessation of resistance to Ukraine, the risk of using nuclear weapons will not become less. Because the Russian Führer is eager to prove something to the United States. Even now, all Russian propaganda tells us that the Ukrainian army has long been defeated and the war is with NATO forces. It is a shame to be defeated by a small enemy like Ukraine, but it is no shame to lose to the great America and its NATO partners. Or better yet, to bend Ukraine to peace, but by negotiating behind its back. So enemy bridges must fall and the Ukrainian army must advance. Only a visible and unconditional defeat in the war will cause social upheaval in Russia, followed by its disintegration. This will allow it to be deprived of nuclear weapons and thus effectively nullify the risks of nuclear apocalypse. To help the channel grow, watch one or more of the videos offered to you at the end. Thank you.